So we're going to go through some of the tips and tricks that I use in order to reach that success. And like I said before, I hope that you find something to take away from it as well. Here's the first slide: tips and tricks for deductions management. From a consulting expert, I guess I call myself an expert only because that's what other people call me. So that's fine. I'm the president of Deduction Management Services. Going over the summary of what we're going to try to learn here today is I want to present to you how to use your existing data to identify problem customers, identify and correct company department shortcomings, improve DSO, daily sales outstanding, reduce and eliminate certain chargebacks, quickly identify and categorize valid versus invalid chargebacks, create an employee performance scorecard for review purposes, and anticipate valid chargebacks for cash flow budgeting purposes. So before we begin, I'm going to assume that your ER system has the capability to sort out customer totals by amount, by invoice claim, by date, by debit memo, by type, that you can assign reason codes to those deductions or short payments. It's a bonus if your system allows you to put status codes and notes attached to claims. We'll go into all of this as we go on. If you're unable to provide, if your ERP system is unable to allow these types of whistles and bells, then as long as your ERP system has the ability to export an aging and open balances to Excel, I'm going to show you during this presentation how to create a dashboard using that information on Excel and to be able to manage the department using that information. So regardless of your AP functionality, a lot of these KPIs can be determined using Excel. So we're going to go forward and go to the next one. So as I said before, I like to use a dashboard because I like to see my KPIs in front of me when I go into a client. It's one of the first things I do. I try to put together certain types of information, key performance indicators that I'm going to use in order to do my job. When I get brought in, it's usually a company that has grown too fast, and so they have a lot of application issues. They have a lot of open balances. Maybe a company that has a particular customer that's giving them a trouble or a particular issue. Talking about the issues, we're going to go into a couple case studies during this presentation of types of chargebacks and how we were able to find out what they really were and how we fixed it. Or I have a company that is just struggling because maybe they're understaffed or the staff is not trained correctly. They're not familiar with the retailers they're dealing with. I find that it's extremely important to understand how your retailer, not every retailer is the same. They don't handle their payables the same. They don't handle their portals or submitting disputes the same. So it's extremely important to treat each one differently and then have the knowledge of how to be successful with each individual retailer. So the dashboard gives a high-level snapshot of these valuable KPIs. It helps you to oversee the department if you're a manager. It helps you to prioritize tasks. You can visually track the department and individual progress and easily share status and progress with upper management as well as department associates. And the analytics allow the department to apply an 80-20 rule, which 80% of the balances are probably made up of 20% of the line items. And those are the ones you want to focus on because those will make a more immediate impact on the bottom line. It gives you a real-time status and problem identification, and it creates a transparent, shareable department analytics. I'm really big on transparency and accountability, not just within the AR department, but within departments throughout the company. I find, I'm a big believer that the AR department is basically a department that if anything within the company goes wrong, it ends up in the AR department. If a customer gets shipped short, if the price is wrong, if the label's applied incorrectly, if China, put the wrong SKU breakdown in the box. I mean, anywhere along the supply chain that has a problem will end up in AR and end up as a deduction chargeback. So it's important that we understand just how important that responsibility is. And then, we create cross-functional teams. So I'm going to get into what I see after we talk about the dashboard. I'm going to go into what I see. Yassine, do we have a question already?
You know what? I popped up, and you know what that means. And yeah, we have a question already.
All right, cool.
And I guess it's related directly to what you're talking about with dashboards. And the question is, do you review your dashboard daily, or is this a weekly dashboard, almost like a weekly report?
I look at it daily, but I mean, I just kind of touch upon it, but it can be done weekly if that's everybody has a different workload. I review it. If I go into a client and I'm working on that client every day, and it's a large enough engagement to where I need to look at it every day in order to track my progress and in order to manage the department and make sure that everybody is rowing the boat the same way, then I'll do it every day. More times than not, I'm handling multiple clients and training departments, more than one. So weekly has served as what I normally do in those kind of situations. So it's more of a personal thing. So here's an Excel spreadsheet of a download of a company's ERP. Okay, here we have Ace Hardware, Alliance International, Amazon. It has an invoice number, a transaction type. It has the reason code, which says, return, unknown, freight. It could be, it's blank, some of them. A status code, which I highly recommend if you have the capability, so that as a manager, at what stage in the item's life cycle your staff has, that it's at within your staff. So, if you have Alice working on a particular alphabet range, and she's working the return for Ace Hardware, you can tell that she's disputing it. It's in dispute. We're just waiting to hear back from them, or this freight chargeback for Alliance International. Credit is being issued for that. So as a manager, as a CFO, as a president, this gives you, by having a status code and a reason code, gives you a high level view of the AR without having to spend hours or a lot of your time with the manager to go over certain things. So this helps not just managers, but individuals that are actually working the claims, because they could use it to keep themselves on track and on point. You could set up follow-up dates and so forth. The transaction dates, the customer PO if you need it, total, and then it's aged out over here. So again, this is just an example of a download of an aging. So what I did is I took this aging and I created this dashboard using Excel.